From September through October in 1862, Kentucky was having problems with its government. General Smith had taken Frankfort in early September, and the Union government was now on the run and staying in Louisville, Kentucky. The Confederate government was formed in Russellville and was now ready to take center stage in the governance of Kentucky. Come along with us as we walk through the installation of Richard Hawes as the Provisional Governor. All aboard the Kentucky-Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine for our flight back in time, but it convinces the YouTube algorithm that we need a bigger vehicle to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. General Don Carlos Buell marches to Louisville. On September 22, 1862, Buell and his army began marching towards Louisville, Kentucky. Colonel Joseph Wheeler's Confederate cavalry constantly harassed Buell's army, but they did very little damage. General Ulysses S. Grant sent reinforcements to Buell, and they joined his troops while en route to Louisville. 3 days later, on September 25th, the first of Buell's troops arrived at their destination, with the last of the troops arriving on September 27th. Reinforcements continued to arrive, with another 30,000 reinforcements from Indiana who crossed the Ohio River. By early October, Buell had 60,000 troops under his command. General Bragg moves towards Bardstown. For 3 days after the Battle of Munfordville, General Bragg and his men stayed in the area as they were unable to engage General Buell in battle just yet. They were running short on supplies and food. Munfordville was now considered a hostile country as the citizens refused to help the winning side of the battle. So, the decision was made that Bragg's forces would move north to Lexington, Kentucky to join up with General Edmund Kirby Smith to resupply his men. On his way towards Lexington, Bragg and his men stopped in Bardstown, which is about 80 miles northeast of Munfordville. Leaving his men behind under the command of Leonidas Polk, Bragg rode to Lexington to meet with Smith. When Bragg arrived in Lexington, he ordered Smith to go with him to attend the inauguration of the Secessionist Governor, Richard Hawes, in Frankfort. Louisville at the time was poorly defended. The elected officials of Kentucky were holed up there, and this was a strategically important location in Kentucky. But instead of attacking and taking Louisville, Bragg decided that since the rebel forces were receiving a poor and unenthusiastic reception, that something needed to be done. Bragg hoped that the grand gesture of attending the inauguration might inspire the people in the state of Kentucky that they would rise up and support the new government. The inauguration of the Secessionist Governor, Richard Hawes. We will discuss a very brief history of the Confederate government in the state of Kentucky. George Johnson was elected as the first governor of Kentucky before the capital was taken. However, the governance of Kentucky proved to be more contentious than previously believed. Johnson called for Richard Hawes to join him in Bowling Green, the new Confederate capital, to play an active role in forming the new government. Hawes accepted the offer and moved to Bowling Green. Shortly after arriving in Bowling Green, Hawes fell ill and was unable to help with the administration of the Confederate government. In February 1862, the Confederate government was forced to flee the state of Kentucky. Add to this was the death of George Johnson at the Battle of Shiloh. This left the Confederate government without a leader. The Secession Convention at Russellville had rules in place in case of such a crisis. Under the rules, the government was now run by the top 10 men who were counsel that helped Johnson until the new Confederate legislature could be elected and installed in their new offices. Under these same rules, the 10 men who were on the council were forbidden to elect anyone from their number. So, They elected Richard Hawes to fill the vacancy. September 3rd, 1862, the Confederate Army of Kentucky would march into the city of Frankfort, the capital of Kentucky, and raise the Confederate flag over the state. This marked the only time the Confederate forces would occupy a Union capital during the Civil War. October 1862, Confederate Provisional Governor Richard Hawes was sworn in as governor of the state of Kentucky. But this ceremony did not exactly go as planned. Hawes did deliver his arousing speech, but afterward the chaos began. During the ceremonies, the Union Army began firing their artillery into the town of Frankfort. This was a huge sign that a larger force was behind them and on their way to retake Frankfort. Bragg and Smith abandoned Frankfort before the inaugural ball. The two generals returned to their men and prepared for when the two armies would face off against each other in battle. Just a week later, Frankfort was retaken by the Union Army. Thank you. We at Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the Appalachian Civil War battles. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification button. Be sure to double check that you are subscribed, as some of our viewers are finding that they are no longer subscribed to our channel. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Appalachian history.